This is the Lockpicker 1969, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to the next episode of Interview with a Lockpicker. Today's guest is Freediver. Say hello.
Hey, how you doing? This is Freediver72, or you can call me Chris, either one. This is a nice interview room you got here. It's nice and comfortable.
Yeah, just got the leather couches in. And you also go by LockedOut, correct?
Um,
That's your...
I just tried, yeah, on my channel, I just tried to put locked out just to have something that was lock related because I used Freediver72 like in everything I do. So,
Yep, and we're going to get into that.
yeah.
So where are you from exactly?
Right now I'm living in Mesa, Arizona. Originally from Peoria, Illinois. It's a good place to be from.
Okay. So how and when did you get into locksport?
Um, about a year and a half ago, I was just cruising the internet, and probably like most people, lockpicking lawyer popped up in my feed, watched a couple of videos, and decided it was something I wanted to try. Kind of had an interest in it for a long time, but never really thought about it. Uh,
All
And
right.
just kind of went from there. Bought some the Sparrows revolver and some picks. The dark shift set, and got going
Okay.
from there.
All right. So were those your first lock picks then? Was
Yeah,
dark shift? Okay.
yeah.
So you mentioned when we had the pre-interview that you had some other YouTube influences early on. Can you talk about those a little bit?
Um, Yeah, I would. Well, I mean, I was watching Bosnian Bill and Lock Noob, and then just I wasn't gonna really get into the sport, but I was kind of just watching more videos, and then I realized that there were other lock pickers out there like Samurai, um,
Mm-hmm.
Hogmaster, just who's the other one? Artichoke.
Yep.
They do some really good videos and really good explanations. And then as I grew, I kind of got tired of Bosnian Bill and
LPL.
lockpicking lawyer. They
Yeah.
they got they got kind of repetitive, especially when it got into the later years of the lockpicking lawyer. Just kind of selling picks and picking master locks. I stopped watching,
So very
but
a bit more
yeah,
commercialized.
yeah. And then Bosnian Bill, he kind of got on the track of the same type of thing, just smashing master lock, and it's like, this is old. So, but I found better videos to watch, and then just making friends watching their videos like Joe Picks and
Yeah.
Sadistic and stuff like that. Picksmith, just watching their videos. And that's kind of what I do now is just watch people that I know. I watch their videos and
Okay. So I'd like to talk a little bit about how you dove into the community and what your experience has been like in the community.
I was really apprehensive about kind of getting into it because I have a personality that when I get into something, I kind of dive in
Mm-hmm.
and I go fast, and I'm competitive, so I want to kind of be out in front and all that. So I was really hesitant about it, but then just trying to figure out where to go and get information, I kind of stumbled across Reddit, the Lockpicking universe on Reddit, and then Discord, and I was chatting on there for a bit, and that was kind of the extent of it. And then it shifted over more to YouTube and hanging out with in the comment sections of people that I know in YouTube, and that's kind of where I live now. Is just cruising videos and leaving comments. I don't visit um, Reddit or Discord as much anymore. I'm just trying to limit how much I am into it, I guess, because it can be, for me, it can be very consuming, and I'm trying to keep it from being that way.
So kind of all consuming sometimes.
Yeah. Because like I said, when I get into something, I'm always trying to be the best, and even with my videos, it's like, okay, I don't know how to explain it. I don't want to get into where I'm chasing views, and then that just consumes me. It just I'm a competitive person, and I'm trying to control that with it so I don't get completely burnt out.
Yeah, I guess I can understand that to a large degree. I'm not necessarily pursuing views or subscribers so much. I mean, yeah, all of us that do YouTube, at the end say, hey, subscribe if you would. But I'm more interested in just putting things out there that hopefully will help somebody. So
Yeah,
that's
right.
kind of what I go for. But so I definitely understand that. Now, you mentioned something about smart key and multi lock videos. Did,
So I think what you're talking about is my most popular video is uh, my smart key video that I did.
okay.
Um, so I used to be a free diving and a scuba instructor. So teaching in that is that's kind of the approach I took with my channel, is trying to do more of explaining what I'm doing, explaining
Mm-hmm.
what I'm seeing. And one of my friends that I talk to a lot is BB Telpic. So he'll send me locks that he wants to see picked and kind of explain what I'm doing. And that's kind of the approach I took with that smart key video, the quick set smart key video. So it's my most viewed video because I kind of go really in depth on how I pick it and everything else. So it seems to be very popular. And then I have a companion video to it of how I made the tool and that sort of thing, and just in detail of how I go. So
Okay.
that's probably the most popular one. Multi-lock, I'm not sure what we talked about. I think it's more that with multi-lock, they're just my favorite locks. I just really like multi-lock. I like that pin and pin.
Okay.
They're fun to pick.
Yes,
And
definitely.
it was I picked, I think my multi-lock was a brown belt multi-lock that I picked when I was still a green belt. So I picked that before I picked a lot of other locks that I needed to get there. So yeah, I just really like multi-lock.
Okay. So you mentioned about the diving, and your Freediver 72 comes from that. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's kind of funny where I started and where I'm at now, or Illinois and Arizona. It's not much for diving, but when I got into diving, I was in Illinois, and um, I was doing scuba, and I don't even remember how. I just kind of got interested in free diving. It just fascinated me. So I went and took some lessons in Florida, and eventually I moved to Florida, became a scuba instructor in Florida for a few years, and then I moved to Hawaii, and I was running my friend's spearfishing manufacturing business, Hammerhead Spear Guns, and I got my instructor certification for freediving, and I was teaching freediving in Hawaii. So I've been able to travel around. I've been to the Philippines and different places to
Oh wow.
freedive, and just really enjoy freediving for a while. And then, kind of like most things, like I said, I get really involved into stuff, and then it kind of burns me out. So
Yep.
I'm running my friend's business, and it's a small niche market, and it was always looking over your shoulder at the competitor, trying to get to the next guy. And we were one of the top, if not the top, well, probably second to Rice, but we were in the U.S. We were very, very competitive in the market, and I just working weeks in the shop and then weekends teaching. I just kind of burnt myself out going
Yeah.
7 days a week. So,
I can.
and then had to leave Paradise. Once I got married, I just thought, oh, a little bit too expensive here. So I left Hawaii and came to the desert, got away from kind of 180 degrees away from diving. Well, for Phoenix, I guess it's 120 degrees away from diving.
Yeah. All right. So talk to me a little bit about the challenge locks.
So my first challenge lock, I don't even know where it is. It'd be nice to find it. It was called Tiger Shark, and it was built on a 930 Master Lock 930 XJT. I don't know what the letters are. Um, and it was fun. I engraved it. I was trying to make them all mostly ocean themed, so Tiger Shark. Um, and then I wasn't really going to do any more. And then I got a special challenge lock. It was called Uno, and people were. It was kind of a behind the scenes thing because there was a special trick to it. So I got it from Joe Pix. He had sent me sent me the lock, and he had made a 3D box for it. So I started talking to Joe and got into 3D printing, but we'll talk about that in a bit, I guess.
Yep.
And that kind of sparked some ideas in my head that, you know, it'd be really cool to make this 3D box be part of the lock. So I got into 3D printing a little bit, and then trying to figure out what to do with it. And that's when I came up with duality. And Joe Pix did joint custody, where we made these boxes that get passed around the community, put a lock in it,
Yep.
and send it to somebody else, and kind of share a lock sort of thing. So, yeah, that's where I kind of started evolving more into what I wanted to do. I was still kind of doing some other locks where I was engraving on them, like Honu. I engraved a turtle onto the lock, and you know, I just tried to theme them something around kind of my name, type of thing. And then, you know, of course, the 3D printing thing came along, and I just started making boxes for them, and based off the duality box. And like the one that I did most, I've seen most recently was Impossibilities. A sadistic picker had it, and the thing I like about that box is it really kind of upsets Picksmith is how hard the box is to deal with, because it deadens everything, which was the point to it, you know. So it's like, all right, well, it did its job.
I there's a little bit of evil that goes into every challenge lock maker, I think. So
Yeah, and when I get to the pins, it's kind of almost an afterthought. I kind of rushed on the pins a lot of times. I don't try to make them difficult, like duality ended up difficult on accident, more for the keyway than the pins, I think. But yeah, I get excited to get the theme out there, you know, like singularity or something like that. So even I was going to make singularity really difficult, but once I got done engraving it and everything, it's like I just want to get it out. I just want somebody to see it. You know? It wasn't even about the pins; it was about seeing the box and the engraving on it and everything.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be starting here shortly a challenge lock workshop series, and part of that is going to be trying to get interviews done with some challenge lock makers. So hopefully I can kind of scoop you up for a future interview for that, maybe.
Sure, I'll be around. I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay. Um, so are you? So do you enjoy picking other people's challenge locks though?
Yes and no. Um, I like locks that are, you know, under a half an hour to get. If it's like Land Spikey, I love his work. But if it's a total nightmare, like some of the ones that I've made, no, not really.
Okay.
I used to like to figure them out and, you know, sit there and work on them for a while, but I kind of found that there's certain gimmicks I don't like. One of them I've used, obviously, is the keyway, having a nasty keyway, and that makes it difficult. It's not enjoyable. So I've kind of backed off on it a little bit. I like seeing what people have done, especially if they theme them or something like that.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
yeah, I don't know. Some of them are just too annoying, and I give up. If I can't get a pick into it, and I mean, like mine, I can get a pick into mine, and I can turn the pick, use the pick like a flag almost. If I can figure something out like that, but if it's, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but
No, it's okay.
I've kind of gotten away from wanting to do other people's challenge locks. It also becomes a hassle that you've got to ship them out, and you know,
Yeah.
you end up collecting them. And I know there's some people. I've seen a couple of people that have just had hordes and hordes of locks, and
Yeah.
you got to go find them, and you find out they're not just hoarding yours; they're hoarding like 10 or 20 of them. And I don't want to be that person, and you know, I get busy sometimes, and I feel bad that I have them, so I've kind of gotten away from the challenge lock.
Yeah. No, I get that too. So as I understand it, so you've been pursuing the belt ranking system, correct?
Yeah, that's kind of, well, when I first got started, that's all I was really doing is I was trying to find harder locks to pick because I had the easy locks, and I got onto Reddit, or maybe it was Discord, and they said, well, look at the belt system and just use that. And I'm like, well, I don't really want to get the belts. And they're like, well, don't use it for the belts, just use it for an idea of difficulty of
Yeah,
locks.
where
And
you're
then,
at, where you're at along
yeah,
your progression. Sure.
right. And then so then I ended up just submitting them anyway. And that's kind of how my channel started, was just having videos to submit. I think that's what a lot of people do, is they just want to get their belt. So they submit a video and then they end up with
Yep.
a channel.
Yep. Same here.
And go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So I started
Oh, you broke up a little
I
bit.
started in August, November. So August, November. Yeah. Early November, I was a brown belt. And I found that it was pretty easy just to kind of focus on a lock that I was doing for a belt, and I could get the belts really easy. And then I got into the whole duality thing, and then I kind of got away from the belt system, and then some. Like I said, I kind of became friends with BB Telpix, and he was sending me locks to try, so I was doing that, and I just kind of got away from the belt system and didn't really focus on it as much. And now it's more. I kind of thought about going back for the black belt. I have a bilock I was trying to pick, but I just like picking locks that I enjoy.
Yeah.
Most of the time, what it is for me is to actually just sit in my chair in the living room, and I've got like 20 or so master lock and not master lock, but American locks mainly, that are just sitting there. And I just, as I'm watching YouTube or a movie or whatever, I'm just picking through those 1100s and 5200s, stuff like that. And it's more of a fidget spinner kind of thing for me, just to kind of keep my hands busy.
No, I understand that one. All right, so I wanted to dive a little bit into the whole 3D printing thing. For me, it's relatively a newer thing. I'm enjoying the hell out of it, and I'm seeing all the possibilities. But I wanted to kind of get your take on when you got into it, kind of how it led you into, with using it for locksport. And because you've talked about doing the boxes for the locks and all that, but I was hoping you could kind of elaborate a little bit on what you're using your 3D printing for and how you got into it.
Yeah. So again, I'd gotten something from Joe Pix that he had printed a basic box that he designed, and that kind of intrigued me. So it kind of sparked that thought of doing duality, and also what else I might be able to do with it. So my original thoughts were, how could I make something that integrated the lock itself? And then that led to duality. But then I've always been thinking, what else could I do to make a puzzle or somehow encapsulate the lock into it, where the lock actually has to work something on the 3D print. And then it kind of died with, well, not duality, because I used that duality design for some smaller boxes that just held kick cylinders. But I'd always looked at thinking about doing something for like mortises and stuff like that as well. So that's kind of where it started. And getting it, luckily Joe Pix, he's done several. He's got, I think, 2 or 3 3D printers. So
wow,
I was kind of leaning on him for some advice on getting it started. And really the biggest thing with the 3D printer is the setup.
Yeah.
And that first layer, getting, so he's the one that taught me to
getting adhesion by doing the proper leveling.
Yeah, getting everything level, and not having to use tricks to get the thing to stick. And he's the one that told me about using like a 1/1000th feeler gauge instead of a piece of paper. And once I did that and I got it set up, I really don't have to adjust mine. I did buy some heavier springs so that it doesn't move as much, but for underneath to hold the heating plate, but the hotbed. But
I thought about doing that.
Leveled, that was the biggest part, was understanding the leveling. And then, because it's a tinker, everybody thinks, oh, I'm going to buy a 3D printer and print stuff, but it's really a tinkerer's toy to get it right and then master it.
And replacing the parts, replacing burned out fans, all kinds of other stuff. I had to dive in and learn the guts of the printer a lot sooner than I expected I would, but I've started
Yeah, for
learning.
me. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say I started learning how to make it so that I can just interchange fans a lot quicker and easier when I do need to put a new fan in, because I've had one go bad on me recently that ugh, getting in that spliced in. I've converted it now so I can just plug and play.
Yeah, a little quick connector.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. The wires are a little bit of a pain, but also, I was going to go direct drive, but I ended up not doing that because I didn't want to introduce some shaking or something like that. But
Yep.
I also did parts for it, like made a knob for the top, um, and how the um, filament feeds in, and then around. I didn't like the housing around the things. I could never see what I was printing, so I found a more open. I had to buy an extra fan, spliced in an extra blower, and made it so that the cooling was better for it, and I could also see. And I put a LED fan on it just to make it, look nice or whatever, and then just did all sorts of things just for the printer itself. But
Which printer do you have?
I have an Aquila. What is it? An Aquila 2 or something like that. I don't remember. I think it's the second one.
Not familiar with that
But
one.
basically, it's an Ender clone. So
Okay.
it's a little bit less expensive, and it does really well. And like I said, once I got it set up, everything was great. It just took me a while to understand and fine tune that leveling process and everything. And yeah, everything's been great since. I probably have it a little bit. My first layer probably sticks a little too much. I probably have it a little bit too. Um, there's an offset in Cura that you can set, and I think I have
offset.
that offset.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
I think I have it a little bit too tight. I have the nozzle right, but I have it squashing that first layer a little bit. So sometimes the bottom of my prints are a little bit flat and not as textured as like the top would be, but I don't mind that. At least I get adhesion and I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't malform anything.
And
it's kind of nice because I've just got it into flight simulators, and the way I secured the controls to my desk, there's a gap and the clamps don't fit right. So I could print up a perfectly sized spacer block for myself. So they're super handy to have for anything that you might want to make.
I've been trying to work more recently on creating a filament out sensor with an alarm. I mean, a very audible alarm that your filament has run out, because all of these ones that are out there, they just turn on a light and they don't really do much else. And it's like, okay, if I'm not in the room, I'm not going to notice the light. So I've been working on something that's more audible, and it actually has the filament run through it. And when it's out, it's very loud. It's like one of those little window alarm type sensor things. So
yeah, that doesn't. I mean, mine came with it doesn't have an audible, but it did come with a sensor. And I would think if it's kicking on a light, you should be able to use that to trigger some sort of a switch. Shouldn't be too difficult.
Yeah, probably not. I like to keep things simple. The more you have to rewire things, I get a little more concerned about how that's going to work out in the long run. Anyway, so last question before we wrap up. What would you say is your favorite aspect of locksport?
Well, like I said, most of what I'm doing now is just kind of sitting and picking more for a fidget. But probably the people that I've met, and I don't go out and socialize too much in the community, but the people I do chat with, everybody's pretty willing to help. You get a few knuckleheads in the sport, but overall, it's the fact that people are pretty cool. I haven't seen any real trolls or anything like that. There was one incident with a person that I guess had caused problems before I'd gotten into the sport, and then he came back around, and I kind of got wrapped up in a little bit of that. And that's probably what kind of knocked me back a little bit of staying out of some things. Is
Gotcha.
I don't want to be into drama. So and I'd say 99% of the people in the community, they're not into drama. So that's kind of what
agree 100%. Agree 100%. So, is there anything you'd like to say to our audience before we wrap up?
No, I don't really have.
Okay.
I don't really have anything to say too much other than just enjoy the sport. If you have any questions, just reach out to
Yeah,
me or somebody else because you're gonna find answers. So just
definitely.
enjoy it.
All right. This has been great. I've really enjoyed. I enjoyed our pre-interview talk quite a bit. That was a lot of fun getting to talk about different things, and anytime would love to talk more on the whole 3D printing front. Sounds like you're doing a lot of really cool stuff, and I am just always looking to learn. So, all right.
Yeah, and then it helps when you have an engineering background that
Yeah.
you can find some stuff too. But
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
hit me up. Let me know when you want to
I'll do
talk.
that. Definitely. Okay, so I want to thank everybody that tuned in and decided to listen in to this interview. Hopefully, you enjoyed it. If you are currently a subscriber, thank you. If you are not yet a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications and all, and hit like on this video. And thank you for listening.